Hey everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Pedal Zone Sonic Q&A. A little show where I'll try to cure your curiosity about me and how I like to use my gear, all while taking on your pedal combo challenges. And I made an official request for questions and pedal combo ideas on Instagram, and I have to say that the feedback from you all was just immense. I think I have enough questions for the rest of the year, so thank you for that. I truly appreciate it. And I'll try and answer a couple of them today, but if I don't get to your question, then it'll probably happen in another episode. All right, let's get to it. All right, the first question is from Dwayne Martineau. Martineau? I don't know, names are hard. But he asks, how do you retain clarity while keeping a sound wet, 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 especially with reverb? Now, Dwayne, this is a really fun question because it's kind of self-contradicting. We want the all-immersive wetness, which by default is designed to cloud and alter our dry signal, but we also want to retain the clarity and presence of our dry tone. So we don't lose note definition or the focus in our progressions and melodies. Well, Dwayne, the sad reality of it all is that you can't have one without sacrificing the other, either a little or a lot, at least in a normal mono or stereo setup. But I do have some concepts and ideas that I like to apply when using reverb in an atmospheric context, so let's have a look at them. If you want to play faster, and with that I don't mean shred, but you know, a couple of chords per minute and a nice melodic lick here and there, then you should be thinking about a high decay setting instead of a high mix setting. Using a high decay setting combined with a low mix setting will give you a lush cloud of ambience that perfectly sits beneath your playing. It adds dimension and space both when you're playing and when you're not, but it doesn't obscure your notes. Here's a quick example of what I mean. If you're playing slower and have more space between chord and note changes, then you can easily increase the mix. It's all about playing to the effect and not against it. Another way to keep a clear attack alongside a super wet reverb mix is to introduce some pre-delay. This parameter delays the onset of the reverb effect. It's not something every reverb pedal has, but if yours does, then definitely use it to keep your initial string attack clear and pristine, and let the reverb bloom its way in shortly after. If you're using a 100% wet reverb mix and want to retain some sort of tonal clarity, then I highly recommend you play as simple shapes as possible. Like just a single note or super simple 2-note intervals. Because if you slam that ambience with too much note information, then things will get muddy really quick. So here's an example of how I typically like to play with an all-wet reverb mix. So Dwayne, the answer is, as always, it depends. There's never a one-stop fix for every situation. So really think about your musical context and really think about the frequency response of your reverb as well as the frequencies you're putting into the reverb through your playing, and then find the solution that fits your situation the best. Really listening, analyzing, and understanding will always give you the best results. All right, on to the next question. And the next question is from Vinnie Duarte, and it's in Norwegian. And I'm not gonna hack my way through a Norwegian accent, so I'm just gonna say it in Danish. Kan du sige noget på dansk? Det vil være kjempebra. Og ja, det kan jeg da. Sådan her lyder det, når jeg taler dansk. Det lyder nok som et lettere sindsforstyrret elversprog fra Ringenes Herre for alle jer, som der ikke kommer fra Skandinavien af. Men det skyldes nok, at Danmark er en nation, der er grundlagt af berusede vikinger og berusede konger. Så det, ja. Videre til næste spørgsmål. And next up we have an official pedal combo challenge from Conceited Caleb, who asks for Astral Destiny into Avalanche Run or the other way around. Maybe some pyramids too? Sure, don't mind if I do. I think the Astral Destiny is gonna sound awesome into the stereo reverb of the Avalanche Run. And we'll throw some stereo flanging in there as well from the pyramids for some good underwater measure. Next up, we have Giovanni Besso, who asks about small and unknown post-rock bands that you love and think deserves more. Man, it's always difficult knowing what other people consider as small and unknown, but I love recommending music, so here's some of my favorite post bands that I definitely think people should be listening to. Here in Denmark, we have The Shaking Sensations, Lige så stille, Eigengrav, Møl, and REVV. Shaking Sensations, they move around somewhere in the vein of classic post-rock, you know, Explosions in the Sky and Godspeed. It's a really difficult genre to master. Trust me, I've tried, and they do it so well. Lige så stille, how do I describe Lige så stille? Imagine if David Bowie and David Lynch made a post-rock band. It's theatrical, it's cinematic, it's different, but it's freaking epic. Eigengrav, they just execute extremely detailed, progressive, djenty post-metal to pure perfection. It's insanely good. Then we have Møl, which they just deliver world-class black gaze. Case closed. Listen to them now, they are on another level, man. And finally we have REVV, which is a fairly new band, and they move around somewhere in between shoegaze and dark post-punk. I recently just discovered them and they are insanely good. Outside of Denmark, we have 4 bands that I'm really into at the moment, and that's Pillars, Baikonur, Coastlands, and Holy Fawn. And Pillars deliver really dense wall of sound post-metal a la Caspian. Baikonur, it's crazy hypnotic classic post-rock from Chile with a ton of melancholy in their sound. It's just really good for a rainy day. And then we have Coastlands that play post-metal with a huge emphasis on the metal part. It's brutal, it's grinding, it's mean. And finally we have Holy Fawn. They sound kind of like Sigur Rós going through a doomy black metal phase, and I love it. It's one of my favorite bands. So yeah, definitely go and check out all of these bands right now, please. And finally we have a question from Mask Audio Electronics that asks, what do you look for in dirt pedals? Now, this is an unexpected and great question from my buddy Alec from Mask Audio Electronics. If you don't know him, then definitely check him out. He makes some really cool fuzz pedals like the Black Math, the Titan, and the Park Garden. And what makes this question really funny is that it's from a certified dirt aficionado to a certified dirt disregarder. Don't get me wrong, I like dirt pedals, but I just like other effects more. But if we look at it from a broad perspective, a dirt pedal just needs to make me feel good. It needs to be really fun to play. And if it packs some neat, unusual features like expression capabilities, weird filters, or a crazy wide gain range, then that's just even better. But I guess we can break my dirty desires into 3 categories. For overdrives, I like them to retain the natural character and clarity of my instrument. I'm not a fan of the overly nasal mid-push of a tube screamer or clon, so I guess I prefer a fairly flat EQ curve. My favorite overdrives also tend to have some nice compression and odd, grungy harmonic content in their gain structure. I don't like it when things sound too smooth. Pedals like the KMA Logan, Smallsound, Bigsound Mini, and the Earthquaker Devices Westwood are prime examples of the core drive tone I like. On top of that, they're just super versatile, which makes them more than just a good drive pedal. Let's hear them. fuzzy distortion pedals, I like them to have a boldness, but also a raspy openness to them. I want them to sound great at both low and high gain. And I want to be able to hear some sort of chordal definition in there. Hence, I don't like it when they're hyper-compressed or woolly, like for instance Shin companion fuzz type pedals can be. Fuzz faces have never been my cup of tea either. I guess I very often gravitate towards big muff type fuzzes that have some sort of mid-frequency control, so I don't get buried in the mix completely. I just recently got the new SolidGold Effects Imperial Mark II, and that thing totally nails what I typically go for. But I also like fuzz with a grainy lo-fi character, and the Old Blood Noise Alpha Hunt really nails that blown out dirt tone. And finally we have the synthy dirt devices. The ones I like for adding a synth-like quality to my tone. Here I go for aggressive Octa-Fuzz pedals. Again, I don't want it to be too saggy and for God's sake not mellow. It needs to be super intense and in your face, with a really pronounced and robotic clangy octave up. And power chords through it need to sound like the world is starting to cave in on itself. I haven't found anything better than the SolidGold Effects 76 Fuzz for this. That was it, gang. The first Q&A is officially over, and I had a blast answering all your questions. And I hope you enjoyed watching it. But as always, please let me know what you think in the comments below. Oh, and I have merch now, with art designed by the amazing Mont Doom. So if you've always felt like an astronaut playing guitar in outer space, then why not get a shirt that reflects your inner ambient astronaut? All of the money from this goes directly back into the channel and, you know, supporting and upgrading what I do here. So if you feel like picking one up, there's a link to the shirt in the description below. Until next time, please remember that you're awesome and the world needs you. Stefan, signing out.